Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And I'm your host, Amreen Nadeem. And today we're going to discuss a very amazing topic that how you can explore your inner wisdom, how you can connect yourself with your own self to find out the true you or something that is deeper, more wiser, residing in you. But a lot of people are so busy in their lives that they forget that they have a lot of wisdom residing in their own self. It's just a matter of connecting with your own self, exploring that what potential you have, and unleashing all the superpowers that you have. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss in today's show. And that's why I have invited one of the greatest personalities who has actually been doing it. And to be honest, I even didn't know that she's been doing so much work to, especially to find their own spirituality, to find out the explore different dimensions, different realms of the life. So her name is Dr. Jo Ann White. She's an international, multiple number one best-selling award-winning author, speaker, trainer, consultant, and featured contributor of Biz Catalyst. She's recognized as Goodwill Global Ambassador, and she's also a coach, top business coach award by the Coach Foundation. .com, and she was also named as worldwide branding top female excuse me executive in professional coaching by worldwide who's who. As a certified life spiritual business coach, counselor, energy master, teacher, she empowers and inspire men, women, families, and businesses to achieve greater health, wellness, master their own success. And she's her most recent bestseller is books are three anthologies: Dare to Dream, Women and Men Who Refuse to Let Their Dream Die, Mission Hope, Thriving Through Season of the Soul, and Mission Hope, Inspirational Stories of Faith and Triumph. She's also known as Success Doctor to global audience. And she has been also doing a lot of work on anti-bullying. She ran a lot of campaigns as CEO of Dr. Jo Ann White Consulting Service. She teaches people how to overcome adversity and turn challenges into opportunities. She has been featured online in national and international publications such as CNN, Good Housekeeping, WebMD. She made frequent guest appearances on radio, television networks such as NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, and so many others. So I know if I go on, her introduction is, she has so much accomplishment, achievement that I will go on and on. So I'll just keep it a little short and let's welcome her and then listen directly from her. Hello,
Hi,
Dr. Jo.
hi, Ambreen. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so grateful to be here today and excited to share
Yeah.
with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you, and I can't wait to actually start a discussion on my favorite topic. So, yeah, thank you so much. So, I have given a brief, or I mean, I know I could go on, but I just put it a brief introduction about you. But just tell our audience that what got you interested in this field, how you started your journey, and what obstacles you faced. So maybe you can just tell us briefly about your journey.
Well, I want to focus on our inner wisdom because that's
Yeah.
not all that I usually put out there, but
Mhm.
I've always been guided. I'm an
Mhm.
empath and an intuitive, so I get a lot of different information. And when I was younger, I had to figure out what was going on and how all of the messages that were coming through made sense to me. It took a
Mhm.
little time and practice, but that's all of that stuff is very dear to my heart, and I help people in workshops and also individually access their inner wisdom and their inner guidance, sometimes connecting with their higher self, with angels, with
Wow.
spirit guides, because we are here to really be able to expand all of who we are. And that's a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. You actually talked about that, like connecting to angels and spirituality. A lot of people don't even actually believe in that. So I'm sure you must have got a lot of criticism, and you must have got a lot of resistance. So I want to know that how you actually do this,
Including
because
from my family. I mean,
yeah,
again,
I know.
it's not, and I love my family dearly, but
Yeah,
this is stuff that used to be called woo woo and
yeah,
weird, and but when you follow the path of your inner wisdom, your inner guidance, it can give you a sense of peace, a sense of ease. It can
yeah,
answer questions, give you information. It can help with creativity. It can help with figuring out challenges and problems, even in science and so many other ways. And I have some beautiful stories that are not just mine to really
yeah,
emphasize that. So,
yeah,
and dreams are also, you and I talked about that earlier in
yeah.
the call, but they're fascinating. And there are ways, I've also done dream workshops to really be able to access what those dreams are telling you. And they're another form of inner guidance and
Yeah.
messages that we get.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the reason why I actually asked this question, because uh, I lived more than 20 years in haunted house, and I got like all these kind of experiences. And when I used to tell people, they used to look at me with weird eyes. I mean, they say that what exactly am I talking about? They think that I'm crazy. And then for a long time after that, I never spoke about that. Because I never got the courage to actually share these things. I didn't. I thought that maybe there's something wrong with me. It's not something. So I stopped talking to talking about it with people, and there are very very few people, of course, few select, with whom I actually share what kind of experience I have had. So yeah, I'm eager to listen from you that how one can connect with the inner wisdom. What do you think that, what exactly, first let's
But
define what is the,
before we do that, I have a
yeah,
question about the haunted house. Did you find
yeah,
out why?
about means.
What did you find out why they were still hanging around in the house?
No, actually, I moved out from that house,
Oh, because
and
sometimes it's about finding that the person that's haunting it or whatever needs to be in peace, needs to be
yeah,
able to transcend in a different way and get some support to do that.
yeah. And actually, what I found out that it's not only linked with that house, it was linked with me somehow also, which I
Oh,
figured out that, yeah, I mean, it, of course, there was something in that house. There was no doubt, because we were in the apartment, there was a building, right? And there were other people also witnessed that. And there were like complete history linked to that, because that building was built on a graveyard. So that's
okay,
one
so
reason.
right,
So
that's
yeah,
important.
but then even when I moved out, I had experience, like some spirits around me. I could feel the presence. So I know that, like, there was not only linked to that house, there was something linked with me, which was
Got it.
trying to maybe connect with me. And then of course we're in dreams, and then I try to figure out that what was the message, what is happening. And then when you figure out, then everything becomes, at calm or at ease, that so that's
And it all
exactly.
makes and it makes sense too, right?
Yeah,
It really
absolutely.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why all the time I say that everything happens for a reason, and we need to find out the reason. If when you find out the reason, the everything becomes very clear. And like even Steve Jobs said that you only, I mean, when you look back, only then you can connect the dots. And that's
Right.
exactly what happened. So,
Right.
anyway, so yeah, let's first define, let's, like, enlighten our audience that what exactly the inner wisdom is.
Okay, so inner wisdom is that inner guidance, whether it is from your higher self, which is a part of you. It's giving you messages to be able to help you move along in your life very smoothly and easily. And it's a way to really access our authentic selves, or who we really are. Oftentimes we're bombarded by so much external noise and thinking about following what other people say and do, that we lose sight of our inner truths and what's important to us. And so that inner wisdom is always there. You can tap into it. And a lot of people, if we're afraid or nervous or doubtful, those are areas that kind of overshadow what the inner wisdom is there to tell us. And the inner wisdom is not the ego. That's
Yeah,
important. The
absolutely.
ego could tell you there's something wrong with you and get really demanding and whatever. Your inner wisdom is really very supportive and guidance that you can follow, and it doesn't chastise you. It may give you warnings about certain
Yeah,
things, but
yeah,
it's different than the ego, and we have to differentiate the two. It's important.
yeah. So can we say that it is intuition that guides us?
It could, yes, it's our intuition, it's some people call it psychic power or
Yeah.
whatever. Our intuition, we all have it. And
Yes,
I believe that a lot of people are born and they're more aware than others. But like I told you earlier, we can actually learn how to tap into that intuition and inner guidance. And when you do, it just, like you said, connects the dots. It just feels so much, life becomes so much more. It's
yeah,
embellishes our lives and it makes us feel good.
yeah.
And I have some stories about that if
Yeah,
you're
yeah. Please
there.
share some stories. I mean, I'm keen to listen to all these stories. Yeah.
Okay, so just I have stories about me and other people too.
Yeah.
One time I was in late in the evening, and my inner guidance, and I've learned to follow it. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's important because you can ignore it. But the
Yeah.
more that you start following it and paying attention to it and acting on it, the more information you get.
Yeah.
So I got a message, and I'll talk to you later about how messages come, that I needed to go to the store. It was late at night, and I said, wait a minute, I don't really need anything at this
Yeah.
store.
That's
But,
this I
but
can relate.
but
Yeah.
I decided, okay, I'm going to pay attention. So I went to the store, looking around, got picked up something, got back in my car, and this going back to my house, it's a 4-lane road. And there in the middle of the road was this dog. Now, if I would have gone further, Ambreen, I would have hit the dog. The dog was
Oh,
already lying in the road. Okay,
oh.
so I honked my horn like a crazy person, thinking like if somebody's gonna behind me, they're gonna think, no, I'm not going near her. And I
Yeah.
stopped my car in the middle of the road.
Wow.
But that's
Okay.
why I honked the horn crazy, like, okay. And I
Mhm.
get out, and the dog's eyes are open, and I started to do some energy work and somebody else came over and said, "Oh, I was going to go there, but I was afraid to park my car." Somebody else came, brought a blanket. We found out that a young teenager, was watching the dog, and the dog had run away.
Okay.
So basically, we helped the dog, got the dog in somebody's car, and that's the
Yeah.
reason I was brought
Yeah.
outside to help this dog. And I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I understand. And it was important because I love animals, and I'm here to help them and
Yeah.
serve in many ways. So that's
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I can relate to so much with you on that because this kind of voice that comes, we need to listen to it, and that is something that tells you it's not something that comes from impulse or something. It just tells you. I mean, I just need to, since you shared it, so I just need to share a very little example. Like like last year, we there was like usually we go out and with the kids to the park, but at that time was a little awkward, and I mean there was a kind of a good weather and like a little pour drizzling, and I said, okay, let's go to the park at this time, although we had gone to the park twice that day in that, and then but again we wanted to say, okay, let's go. And then when we went there, it just started raining so heavily. I mean, it was a severe storm at that time. Anyways, my kids were enjoying, but the car that park is so close to our house that I know that we can come back anytime. And it was, but then when we were trying to come back, we saw a family like and they were stuck because they couldn't find any taxi or car or something. So we helped them to actually
Right.
drop them in there to their house. So I mean, these kind of things happen, and we need to listen to that. That we could be the reason for saving someone's life, or so be there. And I mean, I just couldn't resist sharing my
No,
stories.
I love that. But
Yeah,
speaking about parks, I love to walk, and this was years
yeah,
ago. I was going to do my normal walk, and my inner guidance just kept keeping me from going. It just,
yeah.
okay. So finally, it was too late. I had clients. And later on, I found out that there was a shooting in the park where I would have gone. And
Oh,
so my inner wisdom, I mean, who knows what would have happened, but my inner
yeah,
wisdom just kept me safe and away from all of that commotion. So
yeah.
it can help others, and it can also
Help
help
us.
us.
Yeah,
And again, I think it's wonderful to be able to have that and to be
yeah,
and but what's important here, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, we can get messages, but if we don't pay attention to them, how
yeah.
do we know that there's truth in them? Or how do we know what the outcome is, or why we're getting those messages? So it's
Absolutely.
important to have a sense of trust and
True. So
a
how
sense,
how one can actually recognize that what message is coming, because most of the time, if I actually look at the people around us, uh, they are so busy and they have been bombarded by lots of information, and the major problem for them is to recognize what is the right message. So how they can actually cultivate that sense to recognize that message.
well, messages can come in many ways, okay? You can get them visually, you can get
Yeah,
them auditorially, you can get them in so many different ways. It could be a friend saying something that's a message that's in there for you. It could be years ago, I wanted to visit a friend and it was storming, and my friend's name was Lenny, and I asked my inner guidance, well, should I go? And I'm walking and getting ready to get out of the storm, and I see a truck. And on the truck, Ambreen, it says C, a letter C,
oh,
Len, Lene dot something. And so to me, that was a message that I needed to go, which I did because I follow my
ah,
message. So
yeah,
they can come from anywhere, but it's important to pay attention. We can
yeah.
also get messages a lot through our senses, through our feelings.
Yeah,
I asked my inner guidance a question today about something, whether I should do it, and I got a feeling of constriction, a tightness in my chest, which said to me, no, don't do
yeah,
it. And I thought,
yeah,
okay, because that came on really strongly. So
yeah,
there's a way to, again, be alert to the messages, ask questions. Should I do this? And don't just quickly make a decision about it, but start working with them. It takes a little time to
yeah,
get to a place of having that level of trust and recognizing that it's not coming from your ego, and it's not something that you're making up, that it's really
yeah,
coming from your inner source, and
yeah.
that's important.
Yes, I love it. Actually, I really love what you said. What I usually do is I do meditation also to quiet my mental chatter first, because that's how we need to focus on our thoughts, because most of the time people don't even know that what
Right.
are their thoughts. So first of all, I think the first thing is to understand their thought patterns, that what is their thoughts, how it is affecting, and then they can realize that okay, this is the thought that is like a coming in a certain pattern, but the other thought that comes or that is not something that stems from maybe a, a kind of a simple pattern. It's not like that. So something different that need to recognize. So that's how I started recognizing the difference between the thoughts that come from a general thinking and the thoughts that come from the inner guidance. Okay, so now,
Right,
yeah, sure.
so meditation is one way, and it's very important. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day, which is
Yes.
pretty amazing, and you have to be able to differentiate. I often like to take walks. I get a lot of guidance walking and being in quiet, being in nature is
Yeah.
another way to kind of, like you said, you've got to be able to quiet the mind, and so that you can really hear or sense or know or see what the information is. And that's very important because, like you said, we're bombarded with so much noise. We
Yeah.
have to be able to differentiate. So that's really important.
Yeah. Moving on to one of my another favorite topics, dreams. Dreams tell us a lot about inner wisdom. So tell us about what exactly the messages we get from dream and how we interpret them.
Okay. Well, dreams are another form of our inner wisdom. And oftentimes, I actually have done dream workshops wherein teaching people how to access their dream. And it's about paying attention to the feeling in the dream. Dreams are like plays to some extent. There are characters. There's a story to it. There's guidance, and we need to be able to access the information. And when we do, sometimes dreams can come through very disturbing. I have a story to share. I have two,
Sure.
really. One
Yes.
is personal.
Mhm.
Years ago, when I was taking care of my mother, we moved her here to Jersey, and she was beginning to, her dementia was increasing, and she was beginning to seem that she needed more. And so before I went to sleep, and this is important, you can ask your mind a question before you go to sleep and say to yourself, which is what I teach, I'm going to dream and I'm going to remember my dream. Don't wake up and totally get out of bed. But so I had a
Yes.
dream, and in the dream, my mother, my sister, and I were in New York, and I'm holding on to my mother's hand. Now, this is a very literal dream, not dream.
Mhm.
Most dreams aren't that literal, but for me it was.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm holding onto her hand, and suddenly her hand is not attached to her body. And
Oh.
I'm just holding her hand, and I start getting hysterical. Judy, I start screaming to my sister, we got to go to the hospital. We got to go. And I wake up and
Okay.
I realize that the dream was giving me very important message. Your mother needs a helping hand. So
Yes.
I hired an aide to help. And
Mhm.
again, not all dreams are like that, but
Yeah.
sometimes when we need to pay attention, we have to be able to, the dream can startle us in such a way that we remember it, because many people don't remember their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Now, dreams are also incredible guidance. John Lennon, Walt Whitman, musicians, artists, writers have paid attention to their dreams. Albert Einstein said that he had a dream early on that helped him develop the whole idea, a theory of relativity. So dreams can give us a lot of information. And it's just like I said, another source of our inner wisdom, and it's there for a reason. It's
Yeah.
there to help us
Yeah.
and to move us forward, and to again give us the support that we need.
Yeah, that's true. You said that you want to share two stories, so you shared one.
But
Yeah.
this one, the guy that invented the sewing machine, his
Oh.
name was Elias Howe. He was
Mhm.
trying to figure out how to thread the machine. Well,
Okay.
he had a dream. And again, sometimes dreams, like I said, come out disturbingly so that we remember them. In the
Yeah.
dream, he was being chased by cannibals. They were going to
Oh,
capture him and eat him. They did capture him. They put him in this large pot of boiling hot water, and he was trying to get out and trying to get out and trying to get out, and they kept pushing him back into the pot, into the cauldron, with these spears. He woke up. His heart was palpitating. He was visually really disturbed. He thought he had a nightmare because it was really scary. He was going to be eaten alive. When he calmed
yeah.
down, he realized that the spears had holes in them, and that was the
Oh,
answer, the to the point, the tips.
the,
That was the answer to how to thread the sewing machine.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's it's
Amazing. Yeah, that's so amazing to get to know about this, that how inner wisdom, it speaks to us in different ways. So this is exactly, we need to be careful enough to pick up all these message and interpret it to make use of you know having a successful or fulfilled life. So one thing, like, I would also want to ask about, especially from the, if we when we are talking about dreams. So since I have a lot of all kind of dreams, so what about the prophetic dreams, not only about ourselves but about others? Like, for example, when we see that something's gonna happen to my friend, not to me. So I mean, how to interpret that or how to take it as a, because a lot of people discard that as well. So do you think that it has a message, or it has some significance? Or so I want
definitely.
to your view
Yeah,
on that.
definitely. Again, oftentimes people get message. I've had messages for other people,
Yeah,
and it's another way. And when you get them, rather than, oh, I better not tell that person, or
yeah,
it may be, people have had prophetic dreams about something's going to happen. I remember a woman had a dream about not getting on an airplane. Her inner guidance was telling her no, and there was a horrific incident on the plane that she was going to she chose not to. So dreams can foretell the future. They
yeah,
all oftentimes, and this can sound a little strange again to people, oftentimes people who've passed over can visit us in our dreams and let us know that they're okay, or give us a message or guidance. And again, when I work with people, sometimes it's about getting in touch with that information and finding out what that person wanted to let you know about. And so again, if we discard it, it's
yeah,
information that's coming to us for a reason.
yeah,
And why not value it? Why not take a moment, pause, and think, okay, what does this mean? How do I make sense of it? And
yeah,
oftentimes there are what's called lucid dreaming, where you can
yeah,
know that you're dreaming, and you can even shift the dream. Years ago, in many ancient cultures, dreams and dream work was an incredible part of not only the family, but the tribes. And they would gather
yeah,
in the morning and
yeah,
discuss their dreams. And when a child had a dream, let's say a night before, that a tiger was chasing it, the dad or the mom would suggest that the next time, have the dream, and we can create a dream, have a dream.
yeah,
And this time, rather than having the tiger hurt you, make
yeah,
the tiger your friend, or a support, or or something else. So there is, again, why would we rely so much on our left brain, which
yeah.
is important for what we need to do in terms of our lives, but why not balance it with the right brain, with the guidance that's coming from it, and utilize both of them to enrich our lives and make us feel so much more whole and complete.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. I know that this is a fascinating topic, especially when we talk about dreams and inner wisdom. A lot of people actually don't take it seriously, don't think that it exists. But the thing is, of course, you cannot force them to believe in that. It's something that, it's amazing when you actually witness it and experience it. You will see that your life magically changes. And I mean, just by trusting your inner wisdom. So, anyways, we can go on and on about this, but I'm afraid we're running out of time. Maybe we can arrange some other podcast session and we can dig deeper in the other realms. So, anyway, so what one advice would you give to our audience to enhance their inner wisdom or to be able to actually understand their inner wisdom?
Okay, so some of what we said is to be able to pay attention, be able to quiet your thoughts, whether it's through meditation, being in nature, pausing, what so that you can access the information. What's most important is initially it may be experimenting with it. So don't, if a dream or your inner guidance says, okay, leave your husband, don't act on it immediately. I mean, pay attention
Yeah.
to what's going on. And
Yeah.
but what's important is to be able to oftentimes listen and act on it, but not when you're first learning about it, because you've got to be able to differentiate what's the ego, what's your fears,
Yeah.
what's your doubts, because those can overshadow the real messages that we're getting.
Yeah.
And also what's important is when you act on it, remember what I said earlier, the information is everywhere. A book could come off the shelf and there's a guidance. You could hear something on a radio and there's a message for you. Your friend could say something, your dreams could say something. What Pay attention. Remember that truck that I saw? I mean, that was a message. I have one more story, but I don't know if we have time.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I think just 5-10 minutes. That's fine. You can
Okay,
share.
so I used to be an executive director, and it was a very prestigious job for Children and Youth Services Program, and then became the director of research, evaluation, and training. And I was getting more into some of the other work that I'm doing now, and I also was going for my doctorate. And so in the evening, when I was going to class to teach, I would see a sign. I think the sign was advertising some alcoholic beverage, but what I took away and read from the sign, it said, "Do what you love,
Oh,
and the rest will follow." And so it that kept churning in me and churning in me, and it would bring up again your feelings. Are also a way of discerning what's going on. There's something you got to pay
yeah,
attention to, and it
yeah,
just would bring up so many feelings that I decided to go out on my own and branch out and do more of the work that I'm doing now. And I knew that my family was not going to appreciate that, because like I said, there was this great job or whatever, and I had
yeah.
to give 60 days notice, and I didn't tell everybody in my family until it was like too late. Wait, go back, Mom, it's too late. I'm sorry. I just
Yeah, I can understand.
sometimes other people are going to doubt what you want to do, but you've got to follow your heart and
Absolutely.
follow what's calling to you, because that's where the most satisfaction and appreciation of who you are and what you're here to do is coming from and coming for.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely. I loved every bit of it. Seriously. Thank you so much for enlightening us with such amazing information. I think people need to know that, in their life, they need to think beyond just what exists in this rational world or with the logical thinking. They need to think beyond and they need to listen to their heart, as you said. So it's wonderful. I just loved it. So, how they can reach out to you? Like, I know people who are listening either live or through the replay. So if anybody wishes to reach out to you, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Okay, so I'm on all social media, LinkedIn and Facebook, and but you can also connect with me, Joanne at docwhite.org or Joanne at drjoannewhite.com. I love to respond to people, and if anybody wants to go deeper, let me know,
Right.
because that inner guidance is a beautiful way of finding out so much more about what you're here to do, why, and can actually enhance our lives in such a wonderful way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I actually have shared your LinkedIn profile and I think all your social media profiles. And so even if I'll post on the podcast, I'll share all the links. So whoever is interested after watching this episode, they can contact you directly. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, that how people can actually enhance their inner wisdom or listen to their inner wisdom. I'm sure it's an enlightening session for everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I want you to take me up on my offer.
Yeah, sure, definitely,
We're going to
definitely.
go deeper. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you
so
again.
much. Thank
You're a
you.
blessing. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.